What is going on YouTube? Today we are going for the Fallout 4 Platinum Trophy. With all the hype after the show and the recent release of Fallout London, it was about time to drop the video. Let me know down below if you are enjoying the new Fallout London, by the way. Anyway, to get the Platinum Trophy it took us nearly 60 hours purely because we went round completing absolutely everything. There are a total of 50 trophies to earn the Platinum, and it is estimated to be a 3 out of 10 for difficulty, as you could technically do it all on easy. I had my fair share of experiences while playing through Fallout 4 again, which of course we will cover. But I mainly wanted to mention that we aim to complete everything possible before progressing any story missions, leaving just the different ending trophies to be done last, and what a journey we went on. If you want to see me go through all of the DLC trophies too, then drop a like and comment that below. We are aiming to get 100 Platinum trophies, so if you want to follow our journey, please do subscribe as it helps me out a lot. Now let's not waste any more time and jump right into our Fallout 4 journey. It all starts off with us creating our fine specimen of a man and making sure that we spec him to be a true Riz Master. A man of such capabilities also needs a fitting name. Shortly after, we receive news that nukes are inbound and we need to get to the nearest Fallout shelter. Like a true gentleman, we of course leave the wife and kid behind and forest gump our way to the bunker. Our wife and kid surprisingly made it, and as you can see, they are very happy with our heroic actions. We then get bombed and retreat into the Fallout bunker. It took us a whole 2 minutes before things got weird, as we ended up in these freezers and then got frozen for around 200 years I think it was. However, at some point during our ice bath we were interrupted and got to watch our wife get sent back to the lobby and our son kidnapped by Jason Statham. After another power nap, we then wake up and escape our pod. We of course go to check on wifey, but she's fucking dead. So in our grief we decided to boot up some old video games, and once we do, we net ourselves our first trophy. After a bit of gaming, we thought it was best to escape the vault, and in order to do that we needed a Pip-Boy. This skeleton here has one and obviously won't be needing it, so we borrow it with no intentions of giving it back. With this we can access the vault systems and open the door to escape for our second trophy. Our first stop is what is left of our old house, and surprisingly our old robot survived and proceeds to roast us.
Best not let the wife see you in that state.
He explains a few bits about what has happened out here during our nap, and we are then let out into the open world. The first thing I wanted to do was a big lap round this lake by Sanctuary, as you can get some good gear early on. We of course loot Sanctuary as well, and a little thing to point out, in Sean's room there is a book under this bit of furniture that allows you to get an extra special point. While I loot the rest, I will also quickly explain the Pip-Boy that we grabbed earlier, as it is an essential tool. I don't think it needs explaining for most, but just in case. This device allows us to monitor almost everything in game, from quests to inventory to stats, and has many uses like a map, and of course allows us to enter and exit vaults. Now going back to the route, if you can clear this bunker out early on and the surrounding areas, you can secure loot like early power armor, a fat man, quite a bit of ammo, and some good basic armor. With the lap complete, we then went back to Sanctuary and decided to progress the story a little bit. This of course means the first task we need to go and do is get ourselves a dog. When we approach this red rocket station, we then get approached by a dog and get to steal him. I then take our new best friend on a journey to the local town, where we walk into what is left of a firefight and get a trophy for hitting level 5. There is a group holed up in this building called the Minutemen, and they were being attacked by raiders, so we clear the building to help. After a short firefight, we then get to meet the group and are introduced to each of their members. The main one, to be honest, is Preston, who is their leader. There is this little crackhead called Mama Murphy, who you can give a bunch of drugs to later on and she eventually overdoses, but for now she is just here vibing. Going back to the story, another wave of raiders are inbound and we have been given the power armor on the roof and a minigun to take them on. Something I found really cool was the fact that my dialogue options had changed because I'd already found a suit of power armor earlier. Anyway, we jump off the roof and start blasting until this Deathclaw shows up and manhandles us. After being thrown around a bit, we were able to kill the Deathclaw and chase the rest of the raiders out of the town. We then regroup with what is left of the Minutemen and move them all back to our hometown Sanctuary, where we net ourselves our next story trophy. Next up on the list was to upgrade Sanctuary a bit with beds, food and defences, and once we do, we get yet another trophy. Our next mission was to clear out the local raider camp, but we had a few accidents along the way. Firstly, we watched someone execute someone else and our dog looked way too happy about it. We got blown up by a landmine and then shortly after jump scared by a rad scorpion. We then get ourselves a trophy by accident during a fight with ghouls when someone shoots a mini nuke at us. But we do eventually make it to the raider camp and get killed by panicking and running into a grenade. In the end, we do clear out the camp and log off for the evening. The reason that this is important is because when I woke up, we got the PS5 edition released for the game. The PS5 one included more content alongside apparently being more stable and having things fixed, especially with the FPS and visual glitches.
Stop the cap!
Apparently being the key word, as I didn't really notice much of a difference honestly. But due to getting a separate trophy list entirely with no auto-popping trophies, we would have to replay everything so far to get that clean 100%. I then spent the next handful of hours replaying everything that we had literally just done to get ourselves back to the point where we were just at. To spice things up a little bit, we did decide to venture out a little bit further before clearing out that camp of raiders. This involved wandering into a different camp where I was underleveled and nearly got blown up by a mini nuke. This small victory was shortly lived as a Mirelurk then ran up behind me and clapped my cheeks. We find another vault with some not so friendly people who endgamed us quite quickly. Due to my stubbornness though, we did come back and start cleaning house. This full-blown assault on the vault netted us some goodies for our journey. Then after clearing the vault out, we got the worst fast travel spawn in history. Next up, we found another settlement that was basically a cult and we obviously joined it. Inside this cult we were given another quest to solve murder and theft. In order to solve this, we needed to steal more things and murder more people. We started by stealing some information and we are hands down the worst thief in history as we quickly get caught and locked out. However, this is a Bethesda game, so instead of stealing keys or picking a master lock, we simply waited for an NPC to open the door and followed him in and popped a stealth boy. This poor dude literally watched me get kicked out for stealing, let me follow him back into his own home, vanish in front of him in his living room, and then things start going missing, yet he did not know it was me.
Stop! You violated the law.
Oh no! Anyway, last week...
During all of our tomfoolery in this town, we do manage to hit level 10 and pop ourselves another trophy. We then go to confront the thieves and murderers to solve the case with a well-thrown grenade. Turns out that there was a scientist that was a mastermind behind it, so we also murdered her and our reward was this very cursed cutscene. Now it is time to take on the raider camp in the power plant, but on our way there we got to see a floating T-posing ghoul. Watch our dog get hit with a nuke, then we get hit with a nuke point blank in a corridor shortly after.
Parry this, you filthy casual.
But eventually we do make it to the power plant where we start picking off the raiders. Thankfully we were pretty geared here with a couple legendaries like this double barrel that has a double shot perk. Once we cleared out the foundry, we then went back to report to Preston where we get our next trophy. Heading back out on the road, our next objective was to ally with a few more settlements. During these quests, we got to watch a raider fall out of the sky, another raider explode, and then watch ourselves explode as the turret shoots a grenade that I had just thrown. In the end, we do manage to ally with enough settlement to get the community organiser trophy. Next, we were told to make our way to Diamond City, and that journey had its fair share of moments. The main one was being jumped by this deathclaw, which legitimately scared me. Getting no-scoped by super mutants with a missile launcher, not once, but twice.
Boom.
Some good news though, we managed to find ourselves another vault and it turns out these guys are friendly. They normally ask you to trade a bunch of valuable resources called fusion cores for entry to the vault. However, since we were the Riz Master, we simply just asked them to be let in and it works.
But I'm a fellow vault dweller. Can't you just let me in?
Excuse me, ma'am.
With that mission skipped through Riz, we then basically have full access to the vault. First off, this kid comes over and tries to sell us a tour, but we tell him to go away. This vault ended up being quite important, mainly because there is a mission down here where we get to cure that kid from AIDS. God knows what's been going on inside this vault. But also because the vault shop has a very expensive rifle called the Overseer's Guardian, which is arguably one of the best weapons of the entire game, and we will definitely be coming back to get it. For now though, we're going to push on and make our way to Diamond City. When we get to the front gates, we meet this woman called Piper who is arguing with someone over the tannoy. Fortunately, we have great charisma, so we just wander over and not only simp for Piper, but also get the dude to open the gates despite not being a citizen. Definitely a security risk if you ask me, but what can you do against a level 100 speech? Just going to show quickly how much we have actually done before even entering Diamond City. Anyway, Diamond City is essentially the main hub of the game and all kinds of things happen. The first thing that we do though is a quick lap of the whole city to get the home run trophy. We then pop a stealth boy to go invisible and ransack some of the local shops. I then went and explored a bit more of the local area and managed to get a trophy for picking my 50th lock. We also got blown up at random. I still don't really know where that grenade even came from.
Put that candy back, I'm not buying you all that mess. Oh, try me, bitch.
We also cleared out an underground fight club of raiders, then went back to Diamond City to chat to Piper and steal her stuff. On the way out, we watched the local police execute a citizen on the main square. Since we have hoarded a bunch of stuff to sell, I decided to go back to the friendly vault and trade it all in for the Overseer's Guardian. We then go and start the mission to heal that young boy of AIDS. Turns out there is a hidden part of the vault filled with some not so friendly things, and the cure is conveniently down there. At the end of this part of the vault there is a morbid graveyard alongside a medical robot trapped conveniently away in the medical room. So we let them out, grab the cure and return both of them to the doctor so that we can heal the boy. Not only did everyone's audio overlap, which was hilarious.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoy your accommodation.
Austin
I wanted to say thank you again for what you did for Austin.
We also get to keep Curie the robot, and it turns out we now have AIDS too. However, there was only one cure and we used it on the kid. Safe to say, mistakes were made.
Mr. Orgasmo.
We now head back out into the Wasteland with our newfound superpower. For some reason, we decided to keep exploring and not progress any of the main story. This led us to nearly getting blown up several times, which somehow didn't alert the raiders.
Who's up from there now?
We also got to see just how good Fallout 4's next-gen graphic update is. There was this cult that we met who tried to take me into this back room to do some unsavoury things. However, they did not know that we were Riz Lords and were able to talk our way out of it. But I still shot the leader point blank with a shotgun and it started an all-out war. There was also this underground bunker and sewage system where we got jumped by a Mirelurk Queen. I properly jumped here and dropped my controller. We could go into great detail about everything that happened, but we would literally be here all day. We quickscoped some raiders and one of them ended up being an Olympic thrower as he nailed us with this grenade. While looting this building, we also popped a trophy for getting 1,000 resources used for crafting. I don't even know what was happening here. There was a gunner base that we tried to take over and we nade bounced this captain while being ear raped with the sirens.
This safe house is for military personnel.
We claimed another spare suit of power armor. Then right after that popped another trophy for finding 100 locations. Since we were by the old Minutemen base, I thought we should go ahead and do the story mission where we take it back. After meeting up with Preston and the gang, we then go and clear out this castle filled with Mirelurks. During this mission, we get 2 trophies. The first one was for killing 300 total creatures. We then get attacked by a Mirelurk Queen and thought this was a good time to test out the Fat Man. A couple of mini nukes later, the Queen goes down and then we get to have a nice chat with Preston for another trophy. We then go on the hunt for a base to call our own, away from everyone at Sanctuary and the castle. We settle for Starlight Drive-In, but once we discover it, we hear a random noise that we thought was a mini nuke coming our way. It turns out that something crash landed, and after quickly running over, that something was a UFO. We then tracked the green cum that was left behind into this cave, and like anyone would realistically do, once we saw the alien, we got scared and started blasting.
Get my guy, you green cunt.
What was great though was that this alien dropped a unique weapon called the Alien Blaster to add to our collection. Back at our new home, the game decided to help us with a bit of the cleanup using some Bethesda magic. We also got a trophy for building 100 workshop items as well. For now, our home is a work in progress, so we went back into the Wasteland to explore a little bit more. Back at the castle, we complete a mission to unlock this kind of airstrike that we can use, except we never do. When we hand that quest in, we of course get another trophy. While exploring, we get ambushed by this group of Enclave and without knowing, completely skip one of the many new missions that came with the update. But we did come out with some sick Hellfire power armor with some crazy stats. We then teleported to a base to carry on exploring and was immediately ambushed again from a different squad on a different quest line. They did endgame us once, but we went back ready and we got another suit of grey armor. Since that quest was now partially complete, I just went and finished it off. While exploring, our next trophy popped for finding 20 manuals which add passive bonuses to your character. There was a birthday party for someone called Eugene, and when we attended we got jumped by some robots. A legendary Deathclaw also tried to jump us, but we surprisingly absolutely rinsed him. We then killed our 300th human to pop a trophy, and a little bit later we hit level 25 to pop another trophy. There was this one dude that we struggled to actually kill because he would just turn around and shoot a nuke at us with no fear for his own safety. We also found this cow just chilling in this dude's bedroom. Then we went to explore this old church where we were not only jump scared, but also got to have a cuddle with a Deathclaw.
What the hell?
With that done, we thought we should probably go and finally introduce ourselves to the Brotherhood of Steel. So we helped them re-secure this police station before we meet this dude called Paladin Dance. He is a bit of a Chad honestly and gives us a mission to go and retrieve his friend.
Oh, fuck.
This is our little secret though. Dance does not need to know that it was my grenade, but only that she was caught in the crossfire. We then thought we needed a serious suit of power armor to show everyone who they're dealing with. So we went and got this bad boy from some of the new missions, and at this point we were also loaded with fusion cores. We then decided to go and clear out this super mutant tower, as at the top was not only another ally being held captive, but there was also a bobblehead. Bobbleheads are a collectible that we are going to try and clean up soon. When we clear the tower and escort everyone down to the bottom, we net ourselves a trophy for completing our 10th side mission. Back out in the Wasteland, we became a bounty hunter and nearly died on our first job. We then went back to Dance and helped him secure a facility filled with robots called Simps. This was a very chaotic mission with lots of shooting, and we also accidentally cooked Dance and our ally medium rare, but they forgave us, so it's okay. Yes, I took a super mutant with me on some Brotherhood of Steel missions because I thought it would be funny to see what would happen. We then return to base and we get ourselves another story trophy. While at base, we also renamed a couple of our go-to weapons. Back out on the road, we came across this fridge which had a child locked inside, so I decided to let him out. However, it did not take long for Dr. Disrespect to find us.
Cute kid. Is he for sale?
We cut this encounter short as we decided to take the kid home, which of course meant walking him through the middle of a war zone. Since we survived that, I thought we could also push him around in a shopping cart, which went great, and then we were finally able to make it back to his parents, who for some reason were just sat there chilling out. The doc then came back with a couple of his boys, but he fell for the oldest trick in the book. A little while after that, we were then able to get another trophy for hacking our 50th terminal. We then decided to become a detective and track down some of the Enclave hit squads for one of the new missions added to the game. This led us everywhere honestly, but it was kind of fun. We basically would hack a body's Pip-Boy and then track the group down to kill them, which led to some pretty intense firefights and lots of weapons and armour. It is probably now worth mentioning just how much I have done before we've even gone to free Nick Valentine. We are also level 37, so we thought it was time to crack on a bit with some of the story missions. The first one we went for was for locating the railroad, but before we head into the tunnels, we had to have a fight with your mother in the park where we hit him with the old faithful mini nuke launcher. Then we solved a few puzzles which definitely did not take us some time and make us lose brain cells. The railroad then also ambushed us and we were ready to fuck them up, but thanks to this dude called Deacon, there was no need. He started talking about all the side missions that we'd been doing and forgotten about. In a nutshell, he was simping hard. Deacon then dresses up as Inspector Gadget and we get to go out in a very tedious follow along mission for about 10 minutes. When we get back, however, we are rewarded with 2 trophies. One for officially joining the railroad, and then another for getting our 5th companion, even though we already had Codsworth, Curie, Preston, Piper, Strong, Dogmeat, Dance, and some crackhead that we saved from an illegal fight club. I can't quite remember her name. Anyway, we then spent a fair bit just going around and completing the odd quests here and there. We got to see someone become a slinky and shortly after was attacked by another Deathclaw. Then we found this small town called Goodneighbor, where we were immediately harassed by one of the locals and the mayor comes along and shows him the secret London handshake. We then thought about looking through some of the trophies and seeing what we could do. So we loaded up a guide to show all of the bobbleheads and went exploring. Fortunately, we already had most of the areas discovered, so we could fast travel. With that, it did not take us long to pop the trophy for getting 10 bobbleheads. We then carried on collecting them, and while doing this we stumbled across another vault which we of course explored. In here were some not so friendly gunners and it quickly became a full-blown shootout, but we were able to stack a bunch of things to scrap back at base. Our victory was short-lived however, as there was a local gunner camp that I stumbled across and they got their payback. At this point I think all of my deaths have been explosive related. Anyway, we go back and scrap everything at base and then go and put all of our bobbleheads on this stand. We are sadly missing 2 because they are locked behind story progressed areas which we haven't done, like the one on the desk in the room where Valentine is being held. With that being said, I think the next thing we need to do is go and free our boy Valentine, as he's been stuck in there for a very long time. Here is another quick map update, and also we are level 42. Bruh. So we head straight to the vault he is being held in, and after opening it we start shooting our way through. This is a very fun mission, especially when you are this far ahead. After executing enough people, we finally make it to the office where Valentine is being held and let him out. We are then also quickly ambushed by a bunch of New Vegas fanboys. Thanks to our Riz though, not only were we able to steal his girl from him, but we also talked his squad down into letting us leave, which of course gives us another trophy once we get back to Valentine's office in Diamond City. Now we need to track down Kellogg the serial man, so the next logical thing to do is to break into his apartment. Kellogg is basically who Valentine thinks stole Sean. We then find bits that we can get Dogmeat to track and then follow him for 20 damn minutes. This was actually straight garbage, but what was not garbage was the rest of the mission once we make it to their safe house. This is one massive gunfight as we make our way through this old building and try to find the man himself. He had a small army just chilling here ready for us, but we steamrolled through and finally got to meet the man. We can now confirm that Kellogg is indeed the Jason Statham dude that killed our wife, and it did not take long for us to start shooting.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
He pops a stealth boy that does confuse us for a moment, but once we figured that out it did not take us long to gun him down and loot his corpse for his robot brain thing. While we were in this building, we were also able to go and collect our final bobblehead, which pops the trophy. We then head out through the roof and watch as the Brotherhood of Steel all turn up in force and give a public service announcement.
I am going to commit great crime. I'm going to bust nut in water tower.
After handing that quest in, we also pop that mission trophy too. Next up, we decided that we should carry on with the story missions, so we headed to Sketchy Goodneighbor to chat with this doctor who uses Kellogg's brain machine thing to let us see his memories. This bit is a bit crazy, I know, but the mission is also dead boring, no pun intended, so here's the trophy for when we complete it. Apart from getting blown up again, we also shortly get another trophy for getting to max relationship with Piper. With our newfound status, I took Piper to the best place I knew and we got to smash. She was also so impressed that when we woke up, she was out there cooking us a fine meal, which, after eating, we sent her home as she hinders my carry weight and also her job is done. The job for the trophy, I mean. Next up was another story mission, but for this one we headed into the radiated zone called the Glowing Sea in search for a scientist called Virgin. After fighting some Deathclaws, we find him hiding in a cave, and he is a super mutant. He said that he'll help us build a machine that we can use to get into the Institute. In return, we need to go and retrieve a few components and also down the line retrieve his pawn collection from before he was kicked out of his old job. For those who don't know, in recent missions it has been explained that the Institute are a group of people who want to merge the best of humans and robots. To get into their headquarters they use teleportation, and only select ones generally are allowed in and out. There of course have been some prison breaks, but we do need to track down a synth who has access to teleport both ways freely. The hunt was a short one as we did find a synth base of some kind and one of them was holed up in here. It did not take us long at all to get rid of the simps, and then once we loot his body for the components, our next story trophy pops. With that all done, we then head back to base and deposit some loot. When we were here, we were interrupted by a gimp flying a vertibird, dropping people off on my doorstep for no reason. Since he ruined my front garden, I reported it to Dance and he agreed to take me to the main ship to find out who it was. Apart from the fact that you just sit here for 5 minutes, the first 10 seconds was actually quite fun. Anyway, we let the boss man finish his speech, and then after chatting with him he said that he will execute the pilot personally, so we went back to base. Next up, I really wanted to get the miscellaneous trophies out the way so there really wasn't any cleanup at all, and we could just keep as much loot as possible when reloading saves later. So let's get the most painful trophy done, Benevolent Leader. For this one, you need to get a happiness rating of 100, which is normally a very slow and painful process, like sandpaper toilet roll. However, there is an easy way to do it in around 10 minutes as long as you have the resources set aside. First, you're going to want to go to Red Rocket just like every guide tells you. Then, you're going to want to place 8 beds to be safe and make sure they're all inside. Build enough turrets and food for them. I only done 6 for food and then 69 defense for good luck. Now, the main thing is that you're going to want to set up 5 prefab covers and put 5 surgery centers there. You are going to need the perks to set up supply lines and also place down level 3 stores in there. Decorate the place with a load of paintings and then dump a bunch of miscellaneous items to fill up that meter. There is no need for power or anything, we just need to get 6 settlers in. You should be in the high 80s happiness already. Assign one of the settlers to work on the farm as he'll be feeding everyone, and then assign the other 5 to the stores that you have placed out front. Make sure that you assign each of them a bed as well, and then keep the 2 spare ones next to each other for you to sleep in. Now you're going to need to sleep and make sure that you're waking up during the day at around 10 AM. Head out front and wait until your happiness goes up. The closer that you are to 100, the smaller the amount it will increase daily. As soon as it increases, go to bed 1 and sleep for 12 hours, then go to the second bed and sleep for the remaining time to get up at around 10 AM again. Just watch out for Deathclaws sneaking into your bed. Rinse and repeat waking up and going back to bed, and you will quickly pop the Benevolent Leader trophy. We then went to the workstation and kept removing a compensator and adding it back on repeatedly until we popped the trophy for making 50 weapon mods. After that, I stocked up on everything needed to embrace our inner Walter White and craft a bunch of various drugs which popped us the Wasteland DIY trophy. Then we headed back to the Brotherhood of Steel to complete a couple more quests for them. This unlocked the shop and these signal grenades which are important for the next trophy. During the game, you will have optional objectives come up. I had a fair few, but either way you get a trophy for completing 50 of these. No matter how many you get done normally, you can cheese the rest by buying these grenades from the Pridwin store. These grenades will essentially summon a vertibird, which starts an optional objective just to get in it. So you just throw the grenade and then sit and wait for a vertibird to arrive. Simply hop in and hop out. This counts as an optional objective and we repeat this until the trophy pops. The next trophy on the list requires us to hunt down 5 giant creatures and we already have done a few. So we go and hunt our 5th one and we quickly pop the harder they fall trophy. With all of them done, I think it's time that we go back to the story, but as the video is getting on, we might need to breeze over some of the more lackluster missions. Our next mission involved us talking to everyone that we have met so far and deciding to build a teleporter that will take us in. Once we build it, we pop our next story trophy. With the teleporter working and zapping us into what we assume is the Institute, we decide to take a little walk around until we wander into a room and find Sean. That is right, our child is somehow still alive and somehow not really aged. But he also has the brain of a Windows XP machine, as he has no memory and then proceeds to shut down when this old man enters the room. In one big brain blast, the old man is Sean and he runs the Institute. And the child is a clone of himself, which he doesn't really want to talk about.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
After that headache, we then join the Institute, which gives us another trophy. We now get a long string of missions with the Brotherhood of Steel, where we get to repair a giant communist robot to take down the Institute. Overall, there is not really a lot to say about the retrieving process, as one area we had a very short firefight with some robots. Then we ended up going to a place that we had already cleaned out and asking this crackhead if we can take his nukes, which of course he lets us do, for a small part of the stash that we cooked up earlier. With all the parts gathered, we were then able to rebuild the anti-communist Optimus Prime and change his targeting to be synths.
Primary targets. Any and all red Chinese invaders.
Now that's bullying.
We didn't change the hate speech programming because apparently we were running out of time, but with the robot ready to go, we now needed to basically complete some more missions for the other groups before the endings for everyone. All of these missions were honestly just pure chaos, as it was all out war that opened up in front of us. First off, we were attacking the raiders at this camp, and then the Brotherhood of Steel just showed up and crashed a plane into one of the boats. We were then somehow pulled into yet another war zone, as when we were given the next mission, we decided to tell both sides the plan, and what happened next was even more chaotic. Members of the Railroad are hiding some rogue simps in this town. Now, the Institute and the Brotherhood of Steel are both attacking the town, and we somehow were friendly to everyone until we shot a simp. It gets even crazier when we locate the bunker, as it is a lot more close quarters. Also, the Railroad joined the mix. Like, just look at this. Anyway, we do eventually find the rogue simps, and after 2 seconds of thinking, we executed them. But don't worry, we shall tell father, or our son, wait, damn, this is confusing, that they died heroes in a very epic battle. We then also had to tell our story to HR, and after a very long 15-minute conversation, not only did they believe us, but we also get our next story trophy. On a serious note, Sean is dying of ligma, and he wants us to take over the Institute when he goes. Not that we want to take over the Institute, of course, as we've been going and telling the Brotherhood of Steel everything that we find out. On our next chat though, we were hit with some sad news, where unfortunately, Dance is a simp. We have now been tasked to locate and execute him, which is a very sad time indeed. There is a very high riz check option to save him, which I of course failed for some reason, and then have to send him back to the main menu. The good news is, we get a trophy on our return, but rest in peace Dance, you will be briefly missed. We are on the final stretch of the game, as we are now being tasked with eliminating the other groups. First off, we are going with the Brotherhood's ending because it is the best one, maybe. Let me know down below. The first group that we go after are the Railroad, as they are locked into a small room that we have access to. It was pretty easy just to wander in there and maniacally gun them all down. We then had to go and retrieve a bomb from a simp hideout that would be powerful enough to use on the Institute home base. This of course was yet another epic mission with lots and lots of shooting, and it was an absolute blast steaming through in our power armor. Once we steal the bomb and break out, we now officially can let racist Optimus Prime free to cause some chaos. There are a lot of enemies here, but our chrome penis friend back there will take care of most of them. Mainly because we programmed him to do so and to head straight to the Institute's base and bomb away into it. While here, we net ourselves 2 trophies, one for hitting level 50 and then another for completing the mission and breaking into the headquarters. We of course had one hell of a firefight going through here, as it was an entire army trying to stop us making it to father. In the end though, we were able to make it to our son and execute him before heading straight to the main reactor. It was here that we placed the bomb and then made our great escape. At some point it was halted by the Windows XP version of Sean, and we chose to kidnap him on our way out. Then we all sit there as one big happy family and watch as everything Sean Jr. knows and loves gets blown up. After the cutscene finishes, we then hand in the quest and we are rewarded with 2 trophies. One for beating the game and another one for the Brotherhood of Steel ending. So it is time to reload some old saves and basically replay the last few missions from the different groups' perspectives. The missions generally are for the most part the same, so there isn't really much to say. The main difference is obviously what groups you're fighting and who you talk to get the trophy. With that being said, let's cover the Institute's ending. Each ending consists of retrieving a device in the tower and then wiping out the other factions. We go back and complete a couple of missions to unlock the powering up trophy. We then start our final assaults on the other groups, and the first one is the railroad. Again, it's actually kind of worrying how easy it is to mess these guys over really. After that, we then start an assault on the ground base of the Brotherhood of Steel where they are keeping Liberty Prime. We of course have to shoot our way through and kill pretty much everyone that we have made connections with in our other save. Then, in order to take out the Pridwin, we take control of Liberty Prime and make him shoot it down, destroying both bases at the exact same time. Right after being teleported back home, we then get the Institute ending trophy. Next up was the railroad ending, which, because you're taking on 2 armies, has probably the most action in it. The first thing we do after reloading the save again, we organise a small riot inside the Institute where a few rogue simps and ourselves start being menaces. Once we have caused enough damage, we then complete the mission for the trophy. After this, the Brotherhood immediately attack and we have to help the railroads defend their headquarters. We of course lost a couple on the way, but it did not take us long to clear out everyone and the survivors decide that it is time to retaliate. Next up, we started off by storming the police station base in hopes of stealing a vertibird. Once we take out all of the knights and the enemies at the police station, we then hijack the helicopter on the roof and head straight for the Pridwin. Apart from another very long helicopter ride, we do finally make it to the Pridwin and start another full-blown gun battle. The aim here is to eliminate as many people as possible and sabotage the ship to blow up. Again, taking out some of the characters that we have came to like and many more until we cause enough damage to leave. On our exit, we get a chance to drive by some of the foot soldiers on the ground base and then also watch the Pridwin explode and crash down below. Once we go back to base, we go and wake up Desdemona from her nap and inform her that we have won the battle, which pops the final railroad story trophy that we need. That leaves only one more trophy for the platinum, and it is a good one. We simply have to put a live grenade in someone's pocket, and what better way to celebrate the platinum trophy. Now, with that epic prank done, we finally pop the juicy platinum. And what a wild ride that was. Overall, I think that Fallout 4 is an incredible game that is absolutely worth anyone playing. You just get absolutely lost in the world. There is a reason this game has taken up weeks of my life in gameplay and editing. Every playthrough feels different, and the Bethesda magic sprinkled in only makes every run that more unique. Yes, it also applies to Fallout 3 and New Vegas as well, but Fallout 4 fully deserves the recognition it has gotten. All in all, it is an amazing game and a good way to progress the game series without ruining it. There is a reason the games are still being consistently played to this day. Anyway, more platinum content to come as we aim to hit 100 platinum trophies. If you want to follow that journey, please do subscribe. Don't forget to like and comment below what games you would like to see platinum trophy videos on. And I'll catch you in the next one.
我很喜欢冰淇淋。